I'm reacting to some Family Guy. It's been a while since I've done a Family Guy video, and today I'm reacting to should Vinny have replaced Brian? If you don't know who Vinny is, he's like this he kinda looks like a little reindeer or something. I'm not sure. I don't really care about Vinny that much. Anyway, let's get into the episode or video.
In November 2013, Family Guy fans were stunned when one of the show's most beloved characters, Brian Griffin, met his untimely death in Season 12's The Life of Brian. What began as a light-hearted moment when Brian and Stewie casually played street hockey soon turned into tragedy when from complete out of nowhere, a speeding car rocked up and ran him over.
Brian!
This sparked major reactions online, with everyone from CNN, the LA Times, Sky News, The Independent, The Rolling Stone, etc., all covering this shocking decision by the Family Guy team. The second it broadcasted, fans flooded to social media to express their sadness and anger, and soon the hashtag #BringBackBrian was trending everywhere. Even the official Family Guy Facebook page posted RIP Brian tributes, which racked up 500,000 likes and thousands and thousands of hate comments. And then, less than a day after Brian's death, someone started a Change.org petition demanding that they bring him back, and over 127,000 people signed it. Some passionate fans even got RIP Brian tattooed on them. And what's worse is that
Yo, dang, I've never seen anyone be so passionate for a character like to Brian.
that before Brian's body was even cold, he was replaced by another dog in that very same episode.
I hear you're looking for a dog or something. Finally!
Oh yeah, this is Vinny. It just doesn't feel right now that Brian's gone in this episode.
Someone who sounds like they went to college. Hi, I'm Peter.
Vinny.
Vinny was a wise-cracking pooch who was adopted by Peter, and it looked like he was here to stay. Or was he? Because only 2 episodes later, Stewie went back in time to save Brian, which also meant that the Griffins never got to meet Vinny. And so, Family Guy continued like nothing ever happened. So, was it the massive fan backlash that made the producers bring Brian back? Well, no. As much as it seemed like the fans willed it into existence, the truth is, animation takes months to produce, and the plan was always going to be to bring Brian back just 2 episodes later. Basically, they already had it in the works before the shit hit the fan. And we all got played. This whole thing was just a massive marketing stunt, a cheap trick just to boost falling ratings and grab some mainstream buzz. So, did it work? Well, it definitely got people talking online, but in terms of viewership, it was just kinda meh. The episode where Brian came back did get a bit of a bump, but by the next one, things were pretty much back to normal. So yeah, kinda pointless in the grand scheme of things. But what if Brian never came back? And what if Vinny had become a permanent replacement? Could fans have embraced him long term? Well, let's dive into his brief stint in the show and see if he really could work and if he could fill those pores. So let's journey back 10 years ago and so to the season 12 episode Life of Brian. Now, at around the 40-minute mark after Brian has died, Peter and Lois go to the pound to get a new dog, and it's here where we meet.
She's not even. They don't even take an episode to mourn his death. They just immediately get a new dog. That's dang.
Meet Vinny.
Well, you know, I'm just a regular guy. You throw a stick, maybe I bring it back. Maybe I bring back an iPhone that fell off a truck.
Side note, if you're a Sopranos fan, that voice probably sounds familiar, and that's because it's Tony Sirico. Peter adopts him and takes him home, and everyone seems to like him and welcome him into the family. Everyone except Stewie.
Don't get fresh with me, Studio.
That's not my name. That's not even an Italian version of my name.
Whatever.
Later on, Vinny finds Stewie crying in the backyard and checks in on him, which is when Stewie finally opens up about how much he really misses Brian.
He was my best friend. You're not supposed to lose your best friend at my age.
Vinny then opens up too, sharing that he also lost someone he loved, his old owner, and how the Griffins gave him his second chance. This is the point where Stewie finally starts to accept him, and I've got to say, I really liked the final scene where Vinny's asleep in Stewie's room. It's a nice touch.
Good night, Vinny.
Good night, Stewie.
Even though they did swap out a beloved character for another dog halfway through an episode, they actually did do a decent job of making Vinny mostly likeable, especially after this heart-to-heart with Stewie. That said, his whole shtick is just being this Italian-American gangster stereotype. That's his one and only joke. But since it's his first episode, it's not too bad, I guess, because a lot of characters do start out simple and are then developed over time, so here's hoping they don't overdo it in the next one.
How come I never see you wearing a necklace?
That's not really my thing. Hey, come on. The guy wants to get your necklace. Let him get your necklace.
Oh, alright, maybe not. The main plot of this episode is Peter and Quagmire starting their own band, and really, there are only a couple of scenes where Vinny actually talks. Like he has this line where he brings up an Italian restaurant.
A singer, huh? You as good as the guys who sing Happy Birthday at Macaroni Grill?
And when he talks about beating up a guy for acting too girly.
He don't do chick stuff no more.
'Cause of the beatings?
Yeah, he wasn't exactly like us, so we had to almost kill him.
None of his scenes are funny in the slightest, and this is coming from someone who loved The Sopranos. It's one of my favourite shows. Hell, I love the whole gangster mob genre in general. Goodfellas and The Godfather are definitely two of my favourite films, so on paper, I should love Vinny, right? But it's just that same joke, over and over again. It gets old fast. But to be fair, he was barely in this episode to make much of an impression at all. So let's see if he has a bigger role in the very next episode, Christmas Guy. So Vinny definitely does have far more lines in this episode, and as you'd expect, it's the same kind of cliched jokes like before.
Oh! This is a twist I did not expect. Oh!
But we at least do get some backstory into his dad. So there's that.
My father was drowned to death in a bird bath by an officer of the law. His will just said, kick Jimmy in the...
Oh, God. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of Vinny.
in the sack for me. Go Eagles.
Later on, the family goes to the mall, and it's here where Stewie begs Santa to bring back his dead friends.
I want my friend back. Yes, my best friend. My dog, Brian. He's dead.
Back at home, Vinny tries to make Stewie feel a bit better by pretending to be Brian.
What is going on with all these politics, huh?
Well, that is about Brian's level of political awareness.
Which is very sweet of Vinny, and I have to admit, quite funny. Vinny then gives Stewie a gift that Stewie's not too thrilled about, so he suggests taking him to the mall so he can pick out something he does like. It's here where Stewie runs into another version of himself from his time traveling days, and so realizes that this is his chance to bring Brian back. So Stewie asks Vinny to distract the other Stewie while he swipes the time machine. He then tells Vinny that when he uses this time machine, they'll never have met, leading on to another touching moment between the two of them.
Okay, it's not a time machine, it's the return. Whoops, I just spoiled something. This is the return pad, not a time machine.
Good dog, Vinny. Good dog.
So Stewie goes back in time and manages to push Brian out of the way of the oncoming car, and as a result, the past few months are erased and the Griffins never adopted Vinny. By the way, does it bother anyone else that they never revealed who the driver really was? It seemed like they were setting up to a big reveal, but like most Family Guy plot points, it went absolutely nowhere. Let me know in the comments who you think it was or who you think it should have been.
I like that her computer is cracked by her ass. Suspect. snap Rick's portal gun.
Bean. I have to say that in this episode, Vinny was far more likable. Sure, it was mostly the same Italian-American type jokes again, but we got to see more of his personality here. I like how he genuinely cared for Stewie and wanted to help him. It is a shame because just as I was about to warm up to him, he was then written out. The problem is we didn't really get enough of Vinny to really bond with him. Deciding to bring Brian back after just 2 episodes so quickly just felt so rushed, and I feel they should have waited a season. Then they could have used the rest of season 12 to explore Vinny's character and his dynamic with the family. Like, imagine a storyline where Quagmire initially celebrates Brian's death but then realizes that he's not a fan of Vinny either, and therefore wishes Brian was back. That could have been funny. And another insight into how another main character was affected by Brian's departure. It also didn't help that Brian became even more insufferable after he returned. It felt like his douchiness was really dialed up to 11. Like, in the very same season, he gave both Chris and Stewie herpes. He also let a woman drown after finding out that she had a baby. Oh yeah, and he also conned Quagmire out of his money after Quagmire paid to have Brian's teeth replaced. And to be honest, I could go on and on, but suffice to say, Brian became even more of an arsehole. But hey, maybe it was some kind of butterfly effect where this alternate Brian was maybe just a bit douchier, but I doubt it. But saying all this, do I think that Vinny should have replaced Brian? No I don't. And I know I have talked about the downfall of Brian a lot on this channel, like how he went from the voice of reason to a pretentious douchebag, but despite this, I still like Brian. I find him funny, plus he and Stewie have this chemistry that you just can't replicate. In a way, his and Stewie's friendship is a core part of the show, and you cannot replace that. Especially not with Vinny. Vinny's entire personality was being a stereotype. There's only so far you can really take with that. Maybe a more dynamic way they could have integrated Vinny was connecting him to another character, say Chris, rather than Stewie. Or made him at least a bit more interesting or a developed character in his first few episodes. But yeah, basically, he's not funny enough to warrant him sticking around. Sorry, Vinny. But at the very least, we saw him again very briefly in season 15's The Boys in the Band. But that's been his only appearance since. I think they could have brought Vinny back for at least a few more cameos, but sadly his voice actor passed away in 2022, so yeah, maybe it's best that Vinny stays retired. But what do you think? Should Vinny have replaced Brian? Let me know.
Alright, thanks for watching.